Kirin Rise University YouTube. I am Ed Cruz. Today we've got something a little bit special. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to watch a little bit of, I believe it is the Ipman 4 festival fight scene. And I'm going to basically watch it and actually give you my thoughts and reaction to watching this actual scene. By the way, before we get into this episode, I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the site, listening below all the Instagrams and social media stuff and so forth. And if you haven't done so already, definitely click like if you do, and questions and comments are also always answered. So with that, let's get started and see exactly what we're going to see here.
You understand I will go all out. Come on, then.
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there. So this has been, I mean, what is it? It's 2020, and this concept of, always having some, a group of individuals before, the main star gets into the fight, it's been done forever. I mean, the first thing that I can think of right off the bat is Way of the Dragon or Return of the Dragon. Bruce Lee goes to Italy. They have a group of people who do karate there. The first guy runs into a gang and gets his ass kicked. So it's kind of always entertaining to see some dude get his ass kicked like that. But then again, I'm actually thinking to myself, so let's say, okay, we're going to offer you a role to be in Ipman 4, and you're going to get your ass kicked on the very first scene. I'm just wondering how many zeros would it take for me to actually say, okay, I have no problem getting my ass kicked.
Who's next?
So in the second one where the guy gets his ass kicked, also, I think that's, it's one of the things I do appreciate about the Bruce Lee movies, and even in this day and age, with all the special effects and strings and stuff like that they apply, green screen and so forth. The one thing about Bruce Lee is that he was the only one that, in my opinion, that actually showed power. Martial arts, Kung Fu in general, or Gung Fu in general, look very powerful. And then when you look at the way martial arts is done here and so forth, or it's always portrayed, it's like Kung Fu is very weak punches, it's very fast, and maybe very flashy and so forth. But it just seems so weak. But to me, that's not really the case. All right, so this dude gets his ass kicked. And you always wonder afterwards, like you see everybody running, it's like, do all the students quit after he gets his ass kicked?
Lady, I'll show you no mercy.
So I gotta admit, when the female Sifu. Actually, I don't remember what you call female Sifu. Came in. Her pose and style looked pretty cool, and you know the overall cinematography and the shot and so forth really does look pretty when they do it. I wouldn't say I'm too thrilled with the choreographing of it, but the cinematography, the backgrounds and everything is really has a nice look to it. But I don't know if I'm the only one thinking of that. At the very end, when she's like eating the punches and so forth, I don't know. In my mind, I was thinking of the movie "What's Love Got to Do with It," where she like eats a cake, where Tina ends up eating a cake. Because martial arts is martial arts, whether it's guy or girl. Really, no one looks at it any different. So in the end, she ended up being like everybody else. Let's see. All right, finally, Ipman's coming in. I may pause it during certain fight scenes. All right, man. Seriously, a flying sidekick, and then he tosses him to the ground. You don't get that effect of like how powerful that toss is. It just looks so fake and unrealistic. Hold on a second. All right, so in addition to that, you know, I've seen Ipman 1, 2, little of 3, and then, you know, parts of 4 here. You know, his guard hand always bothers the hell out of me. Seriously, this was annoying enough, but his double lanzao or whatever guard hand he was doing after he threw the guy on the ground, I don't know why, it just annoys the fuck out of me. All right, let's continue after this. All right, you know, after you got to exchange back and forth between the individuals, and then, you know, one thing when you have Wing Chun in fighting, that gap, whether it gets closer or further away, it basically stays the same because, you know, obviously you're trying to end the fight. And I get it, this is a movie and you can't have the fight end after one hit after every single time. But that's an instance where, you know, if you can maintain the philosophy of Wing Chun and make it still respectable, I think that's part of the thing. You know, at that distance when he does a reverse flying sidekick, that's a point where that's stuff in Wing Chun that you never let get away. I think you can still do it where he does a reverse sidekick and just do a better scene or better choreographing from that, as opposed to letting him just do a flying sidekick like that. All right, let's continue. You know, I get it. It's a movie. It's tough watching. Like I said before earlier, you know, when you see the punches in Gung Fu and Wing Chun, it's always represented as being weak. And then so he chains like 100 chain punches to his body and to his head, and the guy's still okay with it. And I don't know. To me, I find it painful to watch. You know why? Because I think there was a documentary. I think it was called Fighting Black Kings. Maybe back in the 1970s they did it, where there was this 3 U.S. Representatives from America, Black Kings, who went to Japan to do an all-out fighting tournament. And they actually showed a group from Hong Kong doing Wing Chun, or their version of Wing Chun. And basically they went into the karate tournament and got slaughtered because not only were their structure bad, their punches are bad and so forth. So I don't know, that representation that people think that Wing Chun punches are weak, you know, the chain punching like that to me doesn't help. All right. So that end scene, actually, if to me, I think that just wasn't done right. I think the effect that he wanted to do is when he sweeps him up from the ground, his body is fully up, and then when he punches him, that should send another impact not only to the body and send him crashing to the ground, but when you actually see it at the end when he does it, you don't see the impact of the hit. And again, that representation of just the lack of power of Wing Chun, it just gnaws at me sometimes. I get it; it's a movie, and that's just the case. Another thing with it is that last segment where he's looks like he's doing a dummy form. He's shifting from one side to another, dealing from here and then here and here. Again, if there's a better way to represent Wing Chun is a straight line. I still believe you can make Wing Chun look choreographically correct, if that's such a word, without breaking the laws and physics of Wing Chun. It's not that you can't shift side to side. It just looks flawed. It doesn't look efficient. I mean, even though Bruce Lee, with his movies, had a lot of high kicks and he integrated stuff, other stuff with his Wing Chun, he still had the main principle of showing the power and the directness of how Wing Chun really is. It's so many years later, and Bruce Lee said it himself that, it still looks like Samurai Sunday, and well, that this is a movie again. I just wish that there could be really a movie out there that could represent how Wing Chun really looks like in a fight, how powerful Wing Chun really is. And that's pretty much it. That's my thought and opinion on it. Just having a little bit of fun here today. So anyway, thanks again for, this is my reaction to the Ipman 4 festival fight. Tell me what you think about it. And if you want, I'll take a look at the other movies too that I've seen in the past with it. Or any different movies, by the way. So anyway, thanks again for joining my site. Subscribe below if you're interested. The Facebook site is totally free. Tons of videos on there. Premium site, more information all below. Thanks again. Remember, find your Gung Fu and always practice.